Greetings, loved ones. Today we're going to ask the question, can you heal from trauma? To help us get these messages out, please subscribe to our channel, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, hit the like button and the notification bell, and please share these messages with others. You could save a life. Dr. Robert Blakely is a lecturer in mental health at Queen Mary, University of London, specializing in shame and the emotion of disbelief. We have an interesting paper from him addressing the issue of healing and if it is possible. It reads almost like poetry in the chaos of trauma, as Dr. Robert Blakely says, what is in all of our minds. And so I'm going to sort of read this to you as he wrote it, almost coming out as a form of poetry. So get ready for this one. So Dr. Robert Blakely writes, balancing the debate. More and more I am seeing the skepticism, the implied skepticism. It comes out in more indirect ways. But talk to people about distress and it is there, leaking out of the conversation, indications that people don't believe it is possible. You can't recover. And of course, if it is true, you can't recover from trauma. It would explain why people don't talk about this side to life. Why talk about something you cannot change? It sounds pointless and the pub is open. Dr. Robert Blakely says, I suspect a lot of people carry this belief. Where does it come from? Experience is responsible for a lot of things, and we talk about distress and we see the reaction. We might start by talking about a friend's distress or about distress in general. We might start broad and vague and distant and generally uninvolved in the story of distress. Because is it safe to go further? Is it safe to make it personal? Dr. Robert Blakely says we need reactions to know. Out we go and share. Perhaps at the beginning the reaction is kind and sympathetic, but as the conversations stack up and you are still talking about the same thing, do you feel that you are still talking about the same thing? Do you experience the feeling that you are still talking about the same thing? Am I boring you? Asked Dr. Blakely. Am I tiring you? Am I losing you? Bored, tired, lost. This is not how we want conversation to go. Because if conversation goes this way, we could lose another person, and we can't afford to lose another person. After all, that is the trauma. Loss. Loss is the starting point for distress. We can't go about creating another, creating more. We learn, says Dr. Robert Blakely, we learn not to talk about loss. We used to believe in the possibility of recovery, and we used to believe in the potential of talking. But the snake of cynicism found a gap beneath the door, and we decided it's not safe. We stopped. How? How do we conduct our risk assessments? We watch and learn, says Dr. Robert Blakely. We are watching the reaction. We are not watching with pen and paper in hand. We are not taking conscious notes. There is the unconscious for that. And the unconscious is tracking what can be put into words, what cannot, what can be shared, what cannot. If it is safe to go there, will people go there? People are full. People are full of distressing experiences and trauma. People are spilling, trying to keep it all in, not short of things to say. Why then do we stay away from the difficult? Because it's not safe to go. It is not safe to talk. There are reactions, strong reactions. We shut up, step down, step away. Reactions take down a conversation, and the strange thing about this experience is that we have gone to the effort of meeting people. We have organized the meeting. We have chosen a time and decided on a place, all with the expectation that we would go somewhere together. We must have the expectation to go somewhere, or else we would not create opportunity. And then, not long in, we find all leads have turned out empty. Conversation is dried up or smoked away. The burgers never arrive. This happens all the time. It happens when people in theory have lots to say. Perhaps there is history. Perhaps there is reason to talk, but it is not safe to go. With this as the backdrop, it is unsurprising that cynicism grows. We become cynical about the potential of talking, relating, connecting. Perhaps we don't believe in connection any longer. We believe in fake smiles, phone glares. Does this happen with mental health? At the beginning we find the phrase mental health, and we look it up in the dictionary. There are many diagnoses, there are many opportunities for description, and perhaps at this point in time the reaction is kind and sympathetic. We talk about mental health and people are interested. But as the conversations stack up and you're still talking about the same thing, do you get the feeling that you are still talking about the same thing? Am I boring you? Dr. Robert Blakely asks. Am I tiring you? Am I losing you? The questioning becomes a psychological problem. It is the self-critic. It is the problem we are trying to explain. But as we read, the world is changing. We read it yesterday in a news article. People are talking. Now is the time to speak up, speak out. Now is the century to share. And we do it, and we talk a bit more until the day that mental health invites this mild cringe. Have you seen it? Then we shut up. Then we go home. Then we watch Netflix because therapy doesn't work. The aim here is not to persuade you that recovery is possible, says Dr. Blakely. It is a sad but reassuring possibility that we can only describe. We can describe thoughts, we can describe feelings, and we can describe the longer journey of thoughts and feelings coming and passing, forming to present a journey, a story, unfolding whether we see it or walk right past it. This, the recovery process, involves derailing as much as airlifting. It is happening. The only choice is to describe or turn the other way. But turn the other way, and of course there is no way. What if we let the possibility of healing breathe? The question is not if you will encounter a victim of violence or trauma. The question before God is, what will you do when you do encounter them? You are called. We are all called to be champions for justice. Those who suffer violence and trauma need to know that those who love them, and even those who don't even know them, will reach out and help them and give them the help they need before it's too late. Help us get these messages out. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Subscribe to our channel. Hit the like button, notification bell. Share these messages with others. You could save a life. You could stop a suicide. If you're a victim of violence, listen to me. You are valued. You are loved. You are intelligent. And yes, you are worthy. God does not want you to suffer violence or trauma. He wants you to heal and live free from violence in peace and tranquility. Listen, there is a way out. It's not your fault. Abuse is not love. And most of all, I want you to know that you are not alone. If you are a victim of violence or trauma, reach out to someone today. If you are in danger, dial 911 for help. If you know of anybody suffering trauma, get them the help they need. If you know of somebody who's suffering abuse, tell the authorities. In our next episode, we're going to let the question of healing breathe and talk about the phases of trauma recovery. Until then, God bless you.